Welcome to Sonic Mania. This is part 1 of my 4-part playthrough. This game is very short. I got a lot to say and very little time to say it, so let's just press that any button and don't skip that intro, because if you do, you're a monster. And we're in Green Hill Zone. You know, there was once a time in history when putting this level in a Sonic game didn't immediately result in eye rolls, but I feel like this game gets away with it. I mean, what the hell else do you expect them to start with? Like, an original level would be a little bit jumping the gun, I feel, because the original levels are so fucking good. You can't really start with that. And like what? Angel Island, that's Sonic free. Emerald Hill, that's Sonic 2, so it only makes sense to start this way. And yeah, this is basically just it's a rejuvenation of an old formula, which I don't even know if it needed to be rejuvenated, because the games still hold up, to be honest. Again, I'm always going to be more of like an adventure guy, and I quite like the modern games too, but I do have an immense amount of respect for the classic entries. I've played them a bit. You know, I recently actually replayed Sonic 2. Yeah, that's not the classic jingle. I think they just did that just to fuck with us, but, hey, you know what? I did a whole video about it. I don't hate Sonic 4, to be honest. But yeah, but in Sonic Mania, it's just like it's just insane, this game. The quality, the level of production, like, the production value is interesting because it's, like, technically old school retro or whatever, but it's really not. This is not a retro game. I firmly believe this is the pinnacle of modern, if that makes sense. This is not Retro City Rampant. This isn't the kind of game which intentionally holds back for the sake of tradition. There are a lot of things this game does differently compared to how an actual retro game would do it. And here we have our first mini-boss, and these are, as you would expect, not very challenging. I mean, like, they start out ridiculously easy, and they stay kind of easy. I mean, some of them can be a little bit annoying, and that thing is actually 3D. You can knock it around like in Sonic 2. Well, Sonic 3, actually. And just like in Sonic Free, we got our seamless transitions. You just move straight into the next act, and it's so fucking smooth. This whole game is just like, it's like playing a stick of butter. It's beautiful, honestly. Like, I'm just gonna be gushing basically this whole LP because it's just, like, I don't think I usually get the chance, or at least I allow myself to play a game that's just so unequivocally really well made and great, you know, and it's especially interesting coming from, like, oh, a Sonic game released in 2017. Well, I mean, to be fair, this game wasn't made by Sonic Team. Not that that's like a death sentence or anything. No, they can make good stuff. They can make good stuff too. Fuck. Speak properly. Let's showcase a couple things first, actually. I'm not going for 100%, but I feel like I owe it to you guys to show off the... Oh, wait, it's a different one compared to what I played last time, so it must be randomized. The blue spheres from Sonic 3, of course. And it's got the old formula. You walk around, you circle them like this, and they all turn into rings, and then you get stuff for them. I think you get like medals, which unlock bonus content and some extra abilities for Sonic, because yeah, it's not just the drop dash you got in here, because of course, you know, the drop dash is like that new thing that people sometimes forget about, even though it's still in the games. It's in Superstars. I think it's also in Frontiers. I'm not sure if it's like a default thing or... No, it is a thing by default, right? I don't know, because he has like unlockable abilities there, whatever. But you also got stuff like the Super P-Loud, which it does kind of... It's a little weird to me that they don't actually label them properly. They just label them like CD and Free and Knuckles, I guess. When you think they would actually just call them what they are, like the Insta Shield. I imagine I haven't unlocked it yet, but I know it'll call it like Sonic Free or something like that. But it's like, well, no, it's the Insta Shield. You can't just call it that. Like, yes, if you're a Sonic guy like a lot of us playing this game, then sure, you'll know what it means. But it is a little odd to kind of alienate new people. But I mean, who fucking cares? I mean, this game is an absolute love letter to the classics, and the thing is, it's also a very approachable title for a modern audience. Where the fuck is... Come on, where the hell are the last few? Like, this is the kind of game you don't need to have any real connection to the classics to enjoy all that much. You know, like, okay, if they did this, but for like Sonic Adventure 1, I would absolutely explode. Yeah, but with this game, it's like, you know, I've played the classics a bit. I've watched a lot of other people play them, absolutely. But it's like, you know, I can take them or leave them for the most part. Sonic CD is really cool, though, just because of how unique and weird it is. Okay, I feel like I'm just going around in circles. Am I actually going to find anything? Okay, I guess we're not going to do that one. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that special stage. I couldn't find, like, any of the other blue spheres. Maybe I had to just jump over something. I don't know. Honestly, I don't care. This is the kind of game where it's like, you just play through it normally, and it's just the best thing ever. You don't need to 100% it, honestly. I'll showcase, like, one special stage as well, you know, for the Chaos Emeralds, and that's just it. Like, I'm not going to go for that. Plus, Supersonic is... Well, he's Supersonic, he kind of breaks the game, as you would expect. Not that this game is all that challenging, because again, being a modern release, it's nowhere near as hard as, let's say, trying to 100% Sonic 2, which I've heard is infamously difficult. I've never tried that myself. I've only played Sonic 2 normally. Even just playing Sonic 2 can be a bit tricky because of some of its more interesting design choices when it comes to, you know, the infamous pit and all those things. Okay, let's try another one of these just to showcase what happens when you actually collect, like, the thing at the end. Come on, there you go. That's the baby one, the beginner one. So let's go ahead and do this one. Yeah, the soundtrack. Okay, I'm just gonna be absolutely... I don't even know what over the soundtrack. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, T-Lopes, I know he didn't compose all of this. This isn't his composition. But he did the arrangements, he did the production. It's just fucking insane. You know, how... Like, this music sounds like... exactly like how I imagine if I were alive in the 90s, this is how I imagine I would have heard the songs come out of the Genesis, you know? Just like it has that veil lifted from them, even though they still sound pretty great even on Genesis, just because, you know, like the guys over at SEGA just knew how to use the hardware really, really well. I mean, those games are just like, they're some of the best sounding on the system, honestly. Like, the Genesis has always been kind of hit or miss when it comes to sound. Sometimes it sounds a little too twangy, as it's known, you know, the Genesis twang. The Super Nintendo objectively does have, like, the higher quality sound, but I don't know, the Genesis, when used properly, can just have such a distinct timbre to everything, and it's just really great. And this is just, it's taking that, but making it sound nice and clean and, like, exactly what you would expect it to sound like today. You know, it's the Sonic CD effect, where it's like, as I said, I think in my Vivid Noise episode of Sonic CD, where I said, like, the music sounds exactly like what I imagine they had in mind when making the Genesis songs. And there's our medal of 32 bits. And, oh, it doesn't actually play a little... It doesn't show, like, a little end screen. It just sends you back to the thing. Well, great. Well, that's basically what happens. We're not going to bother with any of the rest of them, because they're all just optional content. You know, it's something to kill time, but generally, you just want to play the game like this. It's just so fucking good. And here we have our first actual boss. It's the Death Egg Robot in Green Hill. And he's actually really easy, not just because you have rings this time. That's the thing that everyone points out. It's like, oh, whenever the Death Egg Robot comes back, it's always like, oh, he's easy because you have rings. Yeah, no shit. It's almost like rings make everything easy, which is why I've always loved these games, because they're so fucking easy. Okay, no, Sonic games aren't inherently easy. It just so happens that because of the way the ring system works, it's more challenging to die, if that makes sense. There are times when they can be fucking hard, absolutely. In fact, I will probably die a few times during this playthrough. This game can be tricky, but hey, get that thing. If you jump and hold up, Tails will go into his little flight mode, and come on, Tails. Grab on, there you go, and he can grab Sonic, and for fuck's sake, invisible walls. I love how the flower gets cut off. Wait a second, Green Hill and then Chemical Plant. You know, this is awfully familiar, something that came out 6 years prior, and then would come out a couple months later. And then would come out a couple years later. Okay, so, yeah, Sonic in, like, the relatively modern era has had a pretty bad habit of just kind of reusing these two stages, and also, like, seriously, like, Frontiers, that game is awesome, but it did genuinely surprise me. Like, it shocked me that they didn't seem to learn. Like, they threw fucking Green Hill, Chemical Plant, and Sky Sanctuary back in there. And it's just like, okay, yes, they've changed them up a little bit aesthetically. They got new music. That's always welcome. And holy shit, that game's soundtrack is also fantastic. But it's just like, really? Especially after how much shit they got for bringing it back that many times. I mean, this game doesn't have Sky Sanctuary, to be fair. That would have been actually kind of cool, to be honest. But I see why they didn't do it, because there was enough Sonic-free representation. Go away. Actually, wait, what is the Sonic free? There's Lava Reef in this game. And what else was there as far as Sonic free representation goes? Oh my god, wait, how can I not remember? There's Lava Reef, which is actually, that's Sonic and Knuckles, technically. And then... Holy shit, I'm totally drawing a blank. No. Oh, what? Yeah, Hydro City. Hydro City Zone. Or, does anyone call it Hydrocity? It's Hydro City, right? I mean, maybe we should ask the developers, but to be fair, I don't even think they considered what it would sound like in English. They just thought, you know, I mean, those are the same guys who came up with Genocide City Zone. They were like, well, it just sounds cool, so, you know, that actually does sound very cool, to be fair, but, you know, they probably realized, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't put that in a kid's game, but anyway. But I don't really have that much of a problem with the reuse of these zones in retrospect, because as long as they do enough to separate themselves, like in this game actually isn't doing itself any favors by being 2D pixel art and having the classic music. But, you know, for example, when Frosis redid it, even though that game had issues and deserved some of its criticism, even though I kind of liked it when it came out, I don't really, when I play Spaceport, for example, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm just playing Chemical Plant with the app. I didn't even know that was Chemical Plant when I first saw that level in like, previews and stuff. I had no idea that was Chemical Plant. It looked so different with all the snow. So I gotta give the game credit for, you know, changing things up. But still, I feel like this was just a nice little... It's a preemptive little bit of, like, they put you in the game and make you feel at home, make you feel comfortable, and then they throw you into all the new stuff and all the... I mean, look at this. Do you remember this from Chemical Plant? I don't, because it was never there. This is brand new. At this point, this is a brand new level. It is actually more reminiscent of Wacky Workbench than anything else. And, but it's, like, actually tolerable, because, holy shit, I love CD, but, yeah, Wacky Workbench was... it deserved its title. I don't know why they decided to design the level that way, but regardless, look at that DNA thing, just all of the effects. I love how this game, yeah, like everyone else has said, this game goes for this sort of, what if the Saturn had actually gotten a real, like, mainline Sonic game? Because, yeah, the Saturn had, like, what did it had Sonic R, which I actually really like, shut up. It also had Sonic 3D Blasts, like alternate, like sort of, you know, Saturn version, which I found out, actually, I used to think it was like a later port. It actually came out, I believe, the same year as the original Genesis version, which is kind of insane. So if you really think about it, that is like the Sonic game we never got, but like it's 3D Blast, you know, it's even with John Byrne's director's cut, that game still just is inherently kind of clunky to play, but you know, I'm glad that he did it though. I mean, that was so cool. Like, how often do you get that kind of shit to happen, where like you take a game from like a million years ago and the original developer goes in and like improves it? That's pretty sick. Although I definitely do think this game is more than just, hey, what if Sonic had gotten that Saturn game? Well, for one, it would have had totally original levels, and I think the music would have been very different. It would have been, I feel like it probably would have been more in line with Sonic 3D Blast's Saturn soundtrack. I like to think that's just that's the soundtrack that never was for that game, because the Genesis soundtrack is also really great, and that's the great thing about a lot of Sonic games. They have like multiple soundtracks, either because of version differences or region differences. It's great. But this is definitely a more modern approach. I mean, for one, it's widescreen. I think you technically can play this on PC in 4x3, and it's mostly playable. There's some things that get cut off because they were primarily designed with 16:9 in mind, of course. But still, you also got these scanline filters and stuff, which I've disabled because, you know, I mean, they're not even on by default, so there's nothing to disable. You would have to go out of your way to turn them on. I don't know, I don't really feel like... I think these games look fantastic when they're crystal sharp either way. You know, no filtering, no nothing. Because the sprite work is just so damn good. Although, funnily enough, that didn't stop the fandom from fucking making a million true blue mods, where it's like, no, we don't like the blue on Sonic's color, so we're just gonna change it. And it's like, okay, oh yeah, this is the Puyo Puyo minigame. And I swear to God, the update to this game, the 1.04 update, actually made this way harder. Because I remember this being piss easy when I first played this game when it came out. Now, on the other hand, and yes, I have updated the game just to showcase like the extra transitions and such, but I know a way to roll back to a previous version so I can showcase the Metal Sonic fight. So we're going to see that one, because, you know, the Metal Sonic fight was altered in the update. Okay, I definitely wouldn't say it's much harder than it used to be, but it definitely isn't quite as, like, 'cause I remember it being, like, ridiculously easy, but this time I actually had to, you know, try not to die, but that's okay, because now we're moving on to the first, I guess the first real zone of the game, and that is... Lights, camera, action. It's so fucking cool. Yes, this is Studiopolis. This is basically the poster boy of this game, the poster child. It's the level of Sonic. I mean, you know how every game, like I think I talked about this in, what was it, in my Shadow the Hedgehog video, where it's like there's always like that one Sonic level that has like the it factor. To be fair, every fucking level in this game does that because this is a great game. But what I really mean is that this is like the iconic one, you know, the marketing level, and for a good reason, because it just, look at it. It just embodies what this game is all about. This game spits in the face of conventional retro throwback games, which do things badly on purpose. This game's like, fuck that. We're just going to take this formula that already holds up really well to begin with, and just make it even better with all of the modernness of the new games and stuff. And that was 7 years ago, so imagine, like, well, to be fair, not much has really changed. I mean, this is the kind of game that's going to age, like beautifully. Like, this hasn't aged, you know? You can play Sonic Mania today, or 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, and it's still going to be great. Just like how you can play, you know, Sonic 3, and it's still pretty damn good, even by modern standards. It's just how things go. You know, generally, these kind of games age really well, despite their origin, you know, and... they're like, because apparently, and I find this hard to believe, but I've heard a lot of people like, you know, Mark from Classic Game Room talk about this, how apparently platformers existed back then for the sake of the arcades, and it's true, but like generally arcade games had their own thing going on. Platformers became more popular with the home console crowd, you know, with Super Mario Bros. And stuff. So maybe there's just this whole era of arcade platformers I missed out on. And I know they exist, and they were designed a particular way to eat your quarters, but I don't know, this to me has always been a very contemporary home platform approach to game design. You know, I don't see this as an arcade game at all. This is fucking amazing. I don't know, because it's actually good? No, okay, arcade games can be great as well. It's just they're designed in such a way that kind of artificially alters certain things about them unreasonably so. Whatever. That's a completely different topic. And one of the most iconic bosses from this game, the hard-boiled, like, I think, actually come to think of it, no, like so far we actually haven't fought any of the hard-boiled heavies. This is the first hard-boiled heavy fight. How do I know they're called that? I have no idea. I just kept hearing it in YouTube videos, so I assume that's what they're called. It's probably in like the, well, I guess PDF manual, because there wouldn't be a real manual for this game, unless they made one. Because this game did get a box release, right? Like a collector's edition thing? Whatever. With a Sonic statue? Yeah, that was pretty sick. Nah, they should have put this shit on a disc and made it look like a Sega Saturn disc. That would have been awesome. I mean, you could just do that yourself, to be fair, but still. And yet this fight, it's basically the formula that like every Sonic Superstars fight has. Just like, you know, hit the blue thing and not the red thing. Blue thing good, red thing bad. Oh, subliminal messaging. But yeah, holy shit, look at that background, man. It's so fucking pretty. This whole level has like this color palette of just like this purple and like not quite cyan, or this really cool blue. The whole game just looks so cool, you know? Even though there's no dedicated ice level, well, it kind of is a dedicated ice level. Not exactly. Egg TV, and did you see that eggnog earlier? God, it's fucking amazing. Seriously, and it's funny as this game does its references in a very tasteful sort of way that don't feel like, you know, Retro City Rampage or whatever. That game isn't bad, don't get me wrong. In fact, I used to really like that game when I was younger, but, so like when it came out, like I was 12 years old. So it's interesting how I wasn't exactly the target demographic for that game, but it's a really good game. It's just that I can actually take this seriously as like a game on its own. Oh, look at the screen. That looks so fucking good. The pixel art in this game is next level. Well, wait a second. Isn't that Welcome to what was it? That was from Knuckles Chaotix. Damn it, I could have thrown the reference in there as well. And is it a hot take to say that Act 2 is actually the better theme? Like, I love Act 2 so much, like the music in this one. Holy shit, it's so good. Like, T-Lope's just... And this is an original composition, so, you know, he can take the full credit there. Absolutely annihilated the soundtrack. Like, it's insane. Also, I love how these little dudes get sadder and sadder the more you hit them. That's great. Really, just this game is filled with so much attention to detail. And a big part of it as to why is just because this right here is like proof that, hey, when you're not making your game look all HD and fancy and it's just you're using pixel art, that's generally much easier to modify and make. You can focus so much more on just making things rich and vibrant and detailed and beautiful, and it's just, oh my god, look at this shit. Well, what's this say? Actually, wait, isn't this, let's see if this is no, it just says Eggman Pirate TV. Wait a second, this is an official commercial product. It's not supposed to be advocating piracy. Okay, maybe that's some other reference that I didn't get because, well, I don't know, you can't expect me to get all the fucking references, but still, look at that parallax effect in the background. I think this is one of the few stages where I can actually find a red ring. Secret stage ring. Secret stage. Are you fucking kidding me? Revoke my Sonic card. No, special stage ring just like naturally as I go. I do want to show at least one of them. I mean, it doesn't really matter because you guys have already seen them. I know for a fact that you guys all know what the special stages in this game look like, so there's no point in me showing them, especially because I'm not going for 100%, but it would be nice to still include that in the Let's Play. I mean, I could always just, you know, record one separately and then splice in there. Can you fucking not? Oh, you can't get mad at this game, man. No matter what happens, it's like you're always just smiling. Like, I played through this whole fucking game last night. The whole thing in one sitting, you know, to prepare for this LP, and goddamn, it's like I didn't want to stop. Oh, look at that. I love the sprite rotation. This game uses so much sprite rotation. That's like one of my weird, like, things that I find really, like, oddly enjoyable to look at with pixel art. Seeing it rotate. Sometimes I'll just open up some sprite work in Photoshop, decrease the resolution to make it, like, actually pixel art, you know, like, so it's at that resolution for real instead of it being just scaled. And then just rotate it around, just watch the pixels distort. It's just so fucking cool. Come on, let's see if we can find a special stage ring somewhere. Because, again, this is one of those where I never even had to like, I had to avoid them. Because I was like, nope, I don't want to do this anymore. Because I wasn't going for the secret, for the special stages. So, what if I end up just not finding one on this playthrough? That would actually be very ironic, but I also wouldn't be surprised. That's a reference to Sonic Advance, I think. One of the casino stages had that. What was it called? Casino Paradise? No. Ah, shit, I don't remember. With that really jazzy music. Well, I mean, they all have jazzy music, but still. Fuck, I mean, it's such a cool... Nope, we didn't get a single one. Well then. Damn. I guess... oh, shit, you know, last time I did this fight, I had the bubble shield, so it was, like, super easy. This time, I actually have to fight him normally, which is still super easy because, you know, I'm not playing as Knuckles. Knuckles is basically like the hard mode here. Okay, that's the first free zones done. I think we're going to leave that for part 1. See you guys with Flying Battery and, you know, the rest of the stages in part 2 of Sonic Mania. See you then.